Hooray for Hollywood, where you're terrific if you're even good. Go out and try your luck, you may be down or done. Hooray for Hollywood, hooray for Hollywood.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Hollywood Knitter. My name is Allison. I'm recording from my home in Los Angeles, California on, what is the date? August 15th, Saturday, August 15th, 2026. Thank you for joining me. It's been almost a solid 2 months. Been very busy. It's been a very busy summer for me and lots of things going on, lots of knitting and lots of things to show you. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's start because it is in the high 80s here, yet I am wearing a sweater because this is my first FO that I'm going to share, and I will probably switch to another one because I have two sweaters in the same one. Anyways, let's start with this one. I'm just gonna pull up my project notes so that I can remember everything. This is the Christmas Bell sweater by Isabel Kramer. And I'm going to put a little video here of me standing and modeling it so that I don't have to disturb right now. It is knit in Ula and Leah Fingering Mongolian Cashmere. That's the red that I have. And this was, Ula and Leah is a Kickstarter that I've backed for years and years and years. And this was leftover red from another project that I had used it in for a cowl for my mother. And then the white is a wool cashmere blend, also from Ula and Leah. That I picked up. And so it's just all white with the red color work. And I intend this to be my Christmas sweater. Obviously it is very Christmas motif. It's just a circular neck, rolled neck here. And then I did ribbed cuff. Trying to see if I did any mods. I don't really think I did any mods. I ended up, here, let me pull up my dimensions that here. I think I ended up following the, I did a hybrid, like I sometimes do with my math, to try to go for a 40-inch or a 41-inch bust, and I ended up with a 38-inch, which is pretty typical for me. My ability to do measurements and gauge is not always the best. But anyways, I ended up with what I wanted. It fits great. So nice. It's so soft. I really like it. I think it'll be a perfect sweater. I really like the neckline, the rolled neckline. I wasn't sure about it originally. I just thought maybe I would pull it up, but it ends up being perfect. You can kind of see, I'm not always a fan of the round yokes, and that's just in general. It's just, I think my next yokes, I really need to make an adjustment because although it looks great in the bust, it's a little too much fabric in the back. So when you kind of see me turn around, it's got like a little more gather there. I think that if I just did the numbers to make my back a little less wide than the front, I might like that. But that's for a future project and future Allison. Overall, this whole project ended up being just a little under 1,200 yards. I used about 100 yards of the red, and then I used about 1,000 yards of the white. So overall, really pleased. And I did, as you can see, full length wrist cuffs. It is super soft. I've been backing this Kickstarter for a while, and I will say I've been backing it for a while, and I have a lot of yarn, and I have yet to use a lot of the yarn. So it's starting to come up in my stash. You know, I try to use the oldest stuff. So I will be using this more in the next few years as I try to work through it. But this was actually what I had done in the past is kind of get random skeins, and I was like, I really need to get like a sweater's quantity to then use these other colors with, because I would just get like, because the Kickstarter specializes, he's a gentleman who lives in Mongolia who is American, and he, gosh, I think it's been 7 or 8 years now, started to do this Kickstarter to source yarns, wine yarns, and then sell them. And he also sells them under the brand. I think you can get them in yarn shops and such, but it's specializing on cashmere, yak, camel, and wool. So over the years, you know, first years cashmere was very cheap, and some of the cashmere, I think this cashmere was like $20. This year it's up to like 40, 46 or 47 if you buy individual skeins, more if you buy more. So cashmere prices have definitely gone up. But even the wool, like this was probably 15 to $16 for 100 gram skein, and this one is a blend of wool cashmere, which he's not doing this year. He changes it up every year. He changes the colors he does every year, and it's just fun. And so I order it. I think the Kickstarter just closed at the end of July. I won't see the yarn until like January, February. So it's always just like a future surprise. This year I was, as I said, I backed it again, but last year I got just cones. This year I just got a cone. I got a cone of, I think I got a cone of the camel. So it's going to be like the natural color. And it, again, a cone being 400 grams, plenty for a sweater. I like it on the cone, etc. But anyways, so this is my Christmas sweater. And very pleased with it. Isabel Kramer writes very straightforward. She has so many, many projects. And they definitely more of a body type. It's because there's no shaping, there's no nothing. It's all very straight. And that works right now. And the color work is, I was worried about the color work. Let me pull up a little bit. I was worried about the color work being seen, and you can kind of see it because obviously, well, I'll show you this way. Obviously there's heavy floats through it. So this is like double. And so it does have a slightly different color because of all the red floats underneath from the white, but not enough that I worry about it. I also washed this yarn 3 different times to make sure that the red wasn't going to bleed on the white, because I have had that happen. And I was reminded also by my friends to remember to do that, and I did it. So all good. So all of my, it blocked fine. Not that I'm going to like throw it in the washing machine, but it's good. So I am going to pause right there for a second because I have another sweater. And so I'm going to do a little quick change and come right back. I'm back. Before I move on to my next sweater, I'm just going to hold up my, isn't it so pretty? Oh, it's going to be so nice. And now it's not going to be worn until Christmas. It's definitely going to be one. I mean, I could wear it more times in the holiday season, but it's definitely more of a holiday sweater. So it's interesting, you know, that I did it for a specific holiday, but it was my dream, so I did it. Next sweater that I'm wearing, yay! This is the City Limits by Tanis Lavallee that I did. Let's see me modeling it. And this is 3 yarns held together. This is Hue Loco single sock, which is all kind of the variegated that you see there. And then it was held with the Ula and Leah Mongolian cashmere, which is a fingering, and that's this charcoal. So those 2 held together, and then I held it with a lace weight, the Btex Midori and Violetta Grace that I got in Argentina. So it is 3 together. In theory, it's marled, but in reality, the color difference and because of the way I did it are not very noticeable. So I did do a little bit of fading when I was switching colors, but like on the sleeves I didn't. Now, I used, this whole sweater is 2,500 yards. It's uses, of the lace weight, it was about 612 yards of the Hue Loco single sock, which is from a skate, she does, well, Hue Loco does beautiful colors, but she does beautiful gradient colors and bags of colors and special sets every so often. And so I picked up a birthday stone set a few years ago for Opal because I'm an October birthday. And I bought the ones that were 50 grams. So I got 10 50-gram sets of yarn. 8 were the colors that kind of gradiated, and then 2 were like solids that went with them. And I'd just been looking, like, when am I going to do this? When am I going to do this? And so I pulled out the 4 pinky. The other 4 are more bluey. 4 skeins. So this is 200 grams of the Hue Loco, and I think it's her single sock, which is her 100% merino. And then the Mongolian cashmere that I held together with it, and then used it for this. Used it for the I-cord here, as well as the I-cord on the hem. Ended up being about 860 yards because I did not use the lace held here. Did not use the lace held here. But when I was figuring out kind of how much I would need to hold back for the sleeves because I wanted it to match, I think I did about 1/3 holding back for the sleeves. And with that, I ended up getting a 3/4 length sleeve. I did not have enough, or I had another color I could have broken into, but it really I decided I liked the 3/4 length sleeve here. And because this is 3 yarns held together, 2 of them fingering and then the lace, it is a worsted weight. So it's a heavy, warm sweater. And it's got the cashmere in it, and then it's got the colors, and it's great. And the other great thing about this sweater, so it's kind of hard to see here, but it's got kind of a detail here, which is an arrow. And then under it has a panel, which is stockinette. But this is totally reversible. So I have it on the pearl side out. I can wear it the other way and have it on the stockinette side out. And you can wear it either way. She gives tips on how to pick up stitches so that it's not so obvious, the pickups on each side, so it's, you know, not that line. And then with it being so kind of crazy, it was very easy to weave in yarns. You can't really see, weaved them in on both ends. The I-cord bind off is mostly the same on both sides. One, it kind of rolls in a little bit more, but nothing that you can't see. So this is like a reversible sweater. Same thing with this. I definitely, for mods, I followed the instructions for the 40, knowing I was getting a slightly lesser, and I ended up with a 38-inch bust circumference. As I said, I held back about 30% of the 50-gram skein of each color to do the sleeves, and that ended up with a 3/4, not the full length. And then I changed, I think, the number of I-stitch cording. So on the edges, I did a 4-stitch here, and then on the hem, I did a 3-stitch. And then I did a few decreases on the arm because I think that she had more of a straight arm and I wanted to do some decreases. But overall, super easy, relatively fast for me. I mean, I did it in 2 months and there was some time where I put it down, but this will be a great fall sweater. It doesn't feel very heavy. Typically I wear shirts under my sweaters. I'm not right now because I just did a quick change, but I don't have to. And yeah, so I'm loving it. I love knitting with color. I love wearing color. I do need, but in my queue for the next few sweaters, I have more of a solid sweater, and patterning, which is very, very wearable. But I struggle between wanting the more wearable sweaters, which are your solid colors, your more things like that I'll reach for more, and these so much fun to knit things that are so many colors, and I love to buy color. So yeah, but I like it. I'm trying to decide, am I in the winter just become like a house sweater? I need like a throwover sweater. But if I do that, my thing with sweaters is I typically cannot wear any of my sweaters in the house when I get home because my cat is a Velcro cat and she has to be on me all the time, and I have biscuits on me all the time. And although I trim her nails, like, it's very, very easy for me to have missed that her nails got hard enough to snag. So in general, I don't wear knits that I care about getting snagged anywhere around the house. I'll wear them out and then change when I get home. It's one of the things I do as a cat owner. But yeah, so as I said, overall, loved it. It took me about 2 months to knit. The yarns are all great. The cashmere, the Hue Loco. I mean, I love the colors of the Hue Loco. I still get her email actually, and I'm tempted by her colors like all the time. She has beautiful colors, beautiful sets. She does this crochet blanket along with natural crochet or natural knit. Anyways, that I've been very tempted by, but I have a few crochet blankets and knit blankets that I can't have out again because I am a pet owner. So those are my 2 big projects I finished. Then I also have some other things. So let's go through. I finished since, I think June. Mid-June was when I last came to you. I finished 3 pairs of socks. So let's see, the first ones I did were scrappy socks. We'll show the one that are on the sock blockers because I took pictures. So these are, again, scrappy socks for me. This was leftover yarns that I had that I ended up just doing a striping sequence, or just, 1x1 striping sequence. And the yarn is Queen City Yarns Noda and Transatlantic, which I got in 2022. I think it was the Virginia Beach colorway that year. And then the alternate kind of white and orange is Un Besito Fiber Kisses in Walking Sunshine that I got at ZK 2024 that I had used recently in my Ohi Loki Telly one that I had done. So I think it turned out really good. This is the transatlantic, and then you can kind of see the white orange striping, and it's so cute. I'll probably keep these, even though I don't need to keep socks, but I'll probably keep these because the colors make me happy and it looks so good. So these took, I don't know, I must have been knitting on them, travel and stuff, so they're about a month, and they're about 250 yards, which is pretty typical for semi-shorties. So that was one pair. They'll probably live on my sock blockers downstairs on my wall for a while as my pretty socks. The other ones I did were like much more scrappier, but still striped. And these were, let me pull up the yarns. I had some leftover 716 knit, and then I striped it with some minis. So these are the crazy socks that I ended up with. So I obviously had black minis, and I don't know if I striped it. No, I did not. I striped it with the lime green that I had. So then I striped it with a lime green mini, and then the main one, which was a leftover 716 knit, is actually black stripe with the white, red, and blue stripe here. So the lime is the mini I did it with, and I had a black mini. And then I ran out a little bit at the top, and my friend Jenny let me have some of her sock yarn because I was running out when I was on one of my trips, and I was able to get enough from there to finish and to make shorties. So yeah, so this is another one, and the whole intent of these stripy socks is I don't like leftovers. I know some people, I like to use it all up. I like to make socks. I like to use I love this kind of method of just 2 different colors and going and striping them through. So these will be charity socks that I'll send probably to Knit the Rainbow. Is that typically what I do at the beginning of the year with some hats and socks and some other things I have. So that's where these will go. So that was another pair I finished. And then the last pair I just finished like last night. Bigger than usual. You can see these are on the bigger sock blockers. These are for my boyfriend, Juan Carlos. They might actually be slightly too long, but that's okay. This yarn is Lollipop yarn in, what was the colorway? River of Dreams. And she no longer dyes, but she used to do these like gobstopper balls. And this was a big gobstopper ball, and then it also came with the matching mini. So I was able to use all the striping, and then this was the mini that that came with it, and from there. And you can see he likes his socks taller, so I do it a little taller, not the full length of his foot tall, luckily, or he hasn't complained. He wears my socks all the time. He has a drawer full of socks. But I noticed I need to purge some of his socks, because socks get old, and so I want to refresh them. So these will stay on the wall for a while, and then we'll eventually go into his sock drawer. But isn't that such a fun? I love a good self-striping. So easy to work on, so easy to do. I do all mine toe up, all of my socks, and then I use the Sockmaticians. He has a toe up pattern that uses there. And then, yeah, just super easy, super hewing. And then the last one I finished is a hat. And this is the Once Upon Rhinebeck hat by Mary Aranella and Annarella. I got this yarn. I saw this and got the yarn at Miss Bab's booth in Rhinebeck 2026, I think. No, today's 2026. Was it Rhinebeck last year or the year before? Whatever. Last time I went to Rhinebeck, I saw this hat in the booth, and I was like, let me get the pattern and get like 2 minis, because it's 2 Yowzer minis. You can see it's all kind of flower color work. I didn't do a massive block because it ended up like to make all the puckering go away, because it's huge. let me show you. It is, well, after I washed it, it's not that big, but I did it. I forget what size I knit, but it ends up being like, it can fit a lot of hair. It can fit a lot of hair. I love the colors, and I loved, I don't say I love doing color work, but I like the end result of color work. It looks, but this is going to be a charity hat. Happy to have done it. It ended up being 212 yards. I used I think 75% of this mini and then 50% of the contrasting mini. You can see my floats, which for the most part are pretty good. The top is always where I'm doing the decreases and stuff that gets a little wonky. But yeah, as I said, this will be a charity hat that I will put aside to give to someone, and it will be really nice. It is not intended for me. It really wasn't ever for me. Not my colors, but yeah. So those are all my FOs. 2 sweaters, 3 pairs of socks, and a hat. Not bad for like 6 weeks. For me anyways. It's a lot. And I have 4 projects on the needles. We will go with my oldest oldest. I started this beginning of July. So what are we at? We're in August. So not too long. And this is the Trelawney Top by Tammy Gore. It is a t-shirt. It's been in my Make 9 for a while because I've had the yarn for a while. Now, I had problems. You can kind of see it. It is a t-shirt. It is color work at the top and the yoke. And I picked up this yarn at Zombie Apocalypse. It's Yarnalicious fingering in a 90% merino, 10% linen. And I picked up the green and the red and then picked this out. And then when I was knitting it, I was like, oh, this is low contrast. Very low contrast. It's like a leaf motif, which you can kind of see. So I got up one morning early, and sometimes on Saturdays I wake up. So I was down there knitting, and I went down this rabbit hole because I'm like, oh, this is low contrast. And I spent like 2 hours trying to see if I wanted to do another project. And in the end, I was like, you know what? I'm going to live with the low contrast. I think you'll be able to see this a lot more once I rinse and block it and have it, but it's just going to be that kind of low contrast t-shirt, and that's what we're going with. Yeah. Sometimes projects don't exactly turn out. I could have gone with another one, but I kind of like the idea of, which is why I ended up doing it. I think I like the idea. I'll have a better idea once I actually wear said shirt if I like kind of the low contrast motif. But as you can see, I already did the sleeves. I only had 2 skeins of the orange. I have plenty of the green. I actually don't have it, but I wanted to make sure to have enough for my length that I wanted to do because the top is very cropped and I'm longer bodied. So longer torso. I'm not a big fan of the crop tops because I'm always wearing mine with pants and things like that. I don't wear dresses. And so I want it to cover my belly. So I have to make mine, typically my t-shirt or sweater length is 13 to 14 inches. So I think hers called for like 10 inches. So I needed like an extra 4 inches. So I went ahead and did the finishing on the sleeves and knit the sleeves so that I would be able to use all the way to the end and get as much length as possible. I think I'm going to be fine. I'm already at 8 inches on the body. And I need to do, I think I said I'm going to go to 12 and then do 1 inch of the hem. I'm hoping to work on this and finish it in the next 2 weeks. I mean, I will finish it in the next 2 weeks. It's just, I'm at the boring knitting. Like it is fingering, stockinette in the round, which to me is boring. It has a place. It's perfect when you go to knitting events or you're knitting with friends who are keeping your attention. But when it is the only thing you're knitting on, it is boring. So I have been knitting on it, or sometimes I set little mini goals for myself in a week and say, okay, I want to do 4 inches of this. So I will force myself to pick this up and knit on it, to try to reach that goal. So, I will probably do that if I can get to the other 4 inches by next weekend and then finish it up, get it things within the 2 weeks. That's what I want to do. And it's in a bag my mom made me. Isn't this so cute? I love this fabric. So that is the Trelawney Top by Tammy Gore. The other thing I'm doing is knit-along-ish. So at Maryland Sheep and Wool last year, my friends and I all saw this mill end yarn from Sweetser Fiber Mill. It is spin cycle-ish, but it is much crazier because it's mill end. So it's not even a consistency. This is my ball right now. We all picked up a skein of it with the idea that we would all do some kind of project with this. And I saw some of those friends at Flock this year and so decided to cast on my project. Everyone, I think, we'll see if everyone does it or not. Sometimes it's just in the moment you're more excited about it, but I'm actually enjoying it. My other friend, she did the Samantha Gurin cowl in it. I forget what it's called. But I'm doing the Skyscraper Windows Cowl by Babs Oshman, Miss Babs. And it is just a in the round. It is provisionally cast on in the round with these little very simple box things. And then in the end, I'm going to Kitchener it, and it makes a double weight cowl. Now, my other yarn that I'm holding it with, using again my Ula and Leah, this is yak wool and antique ruby that I've had in my stash since 2022. And this will be the governing yarn in terms of the length of this, because I am about 70% through the, I think I have like 30 grams left. And right now I'm at 18 inches. So the original pattern called to get to like, I don't know, 34 inches for the cowl, and I don't think I'm gonna get there. I think it's gonna be a much more close cowl. I think I'm gonna get to like 24. But even right now, like in my Kitchener, obviously this wouldn't be very comfortable, but if I get that other 6 inches, I think I'll be fine. It's just not gonna be a hang that much cowl, and I haven't blocked it yet or anything like that, so I'm sure I'll be able to get a little more in blocking. But I love the kind of the crazy of the color. Like you can see, it started off kind of, my through color, which everyone's was a little different, is kind of this pink. You can kind of see it's carried through. But this has some green, this has some blue. I just finished a little pink, a little dark section. I'm back into there. But I think it really pairs well, and it's, excuse me, very easy to knit. So loving that. And then all of my floats will be hidden. So this is another one, hoping to finish in the next 2 weeks. I'm pretty close, as I said. This is one that's fun in it, and I just like to get a few of the rounds and get the little you know, do 4 rows, and I get the little boxes and some solids, and it's in the round. It's easy. So that's the Skyscraper Windows Cowl, and then the yarn I'm doing is Sweetser Fiber Millens that I got at Maryland, and then the Mongolian Baby Yak Wool from Ula and Leah. Then I'll show you the socks I cast on before I go on to my last project, which is scrumptious. So I finished that sock for my boyfriend, and this was what I had left over from the Lollipop yarns, and I decided to just do a shorty. I have about 45 yards here. My socks typically, shorties take about 50, or I mean, not yards, grams. So I just am striping the toe with the gold, and then I'm going to do the foot, and then I might do another blue and gold stripe for the heel, and then finish it off. And I think I'll be able to get a pair of shorties out of that. So as you can see, not much done, just the toe, and I'm about to just start doing the stripes because I did all the creases. Why didn't I stripe it for the toe? I don't know. Why not? And I will finagle that. And I went with the gold because there is some pops. If I pull the sock up, there's a few pops of this like yellow kind of gold there. So I was like, matches enough. So that is the sock I have right now. Always have a sock on the needles, something easy. And then my last project that I cast on last week, and this is with yarn I picked up at Flock, which I'll talk about more in a minute. But so this is some of my acquisitions. So moving into Flock, let's skip to Flock and then I'll come back. So I went to Flock with some friends. These are knitting friends that live all over Colorado, Maryland, Connecticut, and we go to fiber events. Sometimes usually it's Rhinebeck. Went to Maryland last year, and we've gone to Vogue Knitting in New York. So we were looking to try to get together because it had been a while, and Flock happened to work for everybody. Schedules with people who have a lot more obligations than I do are tougher. So we went to Flock. It was so much fun. So we got in there early. We flew in on Wednesday, and we ended up renting a house in Brennan, which is on it's in the Olympic Peninsula. And we did have some travel challenges the first few days, but what we ended up doing is spending 3 nights out there and then coming into Seattle and spending 2 nights for Flock and then going back. So what's one of the things you do? We rented a car, which this was kind of fun. I've never actually driven a car onto a ferry before, and so it was kind of fun. So we took the ferry to Bainbridge, which was on our way to our house that first day, and we stopped at Le Mercerie and Lemon Kid and had lunch there. We didn't really buy anything. Did I buy anything that day? I don't think I did. But there had been travel challenges for one of our friends who she wasn't able, because of weather in New York, wasn't able to make it in that day. And so she was coming in now a day later. So we ended up driving back to SeaTac to pick her up the next day, and then repeating the kind of thing where we took the ferry again and went to Lamb and Kid because she loves Lamb and Kid. So even though we had been there the day before, we went with her. And then sometimes that synergy, when you get the right mood, the right knitters, I bought. So they actually bought there and saw this Soho Square by Jackie Rose. And they had some samples there, and it is done in their birdie yarn, which their birdie yarn is 74% Surrey silk. They have it in a fingering. I think they have it in a DK worsted, and I've heard lots about this base. And they have a wall of color. They have beautiful colors. So the 3 of them decide they're going to do the Soho Square, and so we spend a while picking out colors. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'll wear that. So I did not end up picking up that yarn that day there. I got other yarn that I'll show you in a minute. But then fast forward, we go to Flock. I don't know where we were talking about. And I was like, you know what? I want to join. They had started it right away. They cast on, they were knitting it, they were loving it. And I was like, I got to have one too. Like, this is our memory project, our memory yarn for this trip. So at Flock, I went to the Lamb and Kid booth and bought some birdie for the Soho Square. So if you've never seen the Soho Square, it is, I don't know if I have a picture of it. Well, I have a schematic. So basically, the way it is originally, it's 4 colors, two contrasting there, and then 2 stripes that are paired before it. So it's intended to be a 4-color project, of which you use, I think, almost a full skein of the birdie, which are, I think they're 50 grams. And then 2 contrasting colors, which most people, I'm assuming, just buy the full, even though you only need 25 grams. I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to be different, and I encouraged another friend to different. So I am changing my color striping from the pattern, and I'm using 3 colors. So I'll show you what I've got so far. So one of the main colors for mine will be this blue, which is Duckworth. Yes, Duckworth. And then this is vintage, and this will be my stripe. And so normally how they have is a big block, this thin stripe, and then another big block, and it's on a diagonal, and then on the other side are like different colors. So you can fold it, you can do it, you can check it out. What I'm gonna do is, to make sure I have enough yarn with the 3 colors, I'm going to do the blue block. You can kind of see I'm starting this one. I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to do a contrasting of the other one that's going to be the main color, and then another block of the vintage. So hopefully, and I'm measuring, hopefully that will mean I will be able to get through with all of this. Definitely some color management, definitely some managing, and some calcs and some things like that. But I think it's going to go well. The fabric is scrumptious. I can see it's so light, it's so lofty. I'm doing these on US 7s, and it's super easy. It's just, garter back and forth. And then you're doing short rows, German short rows. You can kind of see here, this is where it's going to be the diagonal, and it will be on the flip. And yeah, it's a nice project. So I'm happy I drank the Kool-Aid and got my 3 colors, which you can see. So this is the, as I said, the Duckworth. This is 1/2 of my main color. On the other side, this is my main color with just a tiny stripe of this. And then this is the kind of the 2 stripes on there, the bigger color. So these are my 3 colors. So on one side, this will be more prominent. On the other side, this will be more prominent. And then that will be the stripes in there. And it's going to just be a 36 by 36 square that you can wear around your neck. You can tie, etc. I don't know if I'll ever wear it, but I'm sure having fun knitting it. And then I have this in a bag that actually matches, is my home row that I got a while ago. So that is the last project I have on the needles. It's so fun to knit. I only want to knit it, and I'm trying to make myself knit on my tee and my cowl because I want to finish those too, because then I will figure out what my next project will be, which will be some type of sweater, I think. I think I have all of my Make 9, with the exception I'm doing one of the sea glass cardigan, and so I'm going to do that towards the end of the year. Some of these yarns that I'm finishing and some of these other projects are going into there. Like, I think I put the rest of the hat, that's going to go into that cardigan. So I want to wait till probably November to cast it on, and then I'll work on that for the end of the year. So that is all of the knitting, but let's do more into the stash enhancement since I was on Flock. So what else did I buy Flock? All the stuff I bought, I'm a kid. Most of it at the store, and then at Flock I bought those 3 skeins, because what we also did is went through and looked at how many sweater quantities of yarn I already have, and so that kind of limited what I needed to get. But I did specifically want to buy the Georgia base, which is the new blown base for Lamb & Kid that I had seen on the Grocery Girls cruise, and specifically bring the 2 spin cycles that were, well, one of the skeins was our goodie bag. I bought another one. You know what? Let me pause and get it because I think it looks really good with the yarn. Okay, so I was going specifically to buy yarn for the frost lines, which quite a few people were wearing the frost lines, had frost lines that they'd made, and I really liked it. Frost Lines is by Andrea Mowry. Obviously, she was one of the teachers. And so this was the skein that I got on the cruise. And then I bought another one, and I didn't really specify I wanted it more blue or whatever. Knowing Spin Cycle can be very different, and there's a Spin Cycle booth at Flock, and you can really see the difference in the same colorway. So this was the other one I got. So they are definitely different, but still the same kind of color scheme, and I'm not going to have a problem with it because the way the Frost Lines actually works is that you have a solid and then you have 2 colors, 1 single stripe. So I can either actually stripe these kind of as drift enough or not. We'll see. But I was looking for the main color, which originally was done in a camellia fiber kind of blown yarn. And I saw the Georgia base. Now this is, you know, their normal Spin Cycle, which is superwash sport weight. And I'm going to pair it with a sport DK weight. So, but this is the Georgia I got to pair it with. So I'm going to do this beautiful brown, and the Georgia base is 51% alpaca, 49% Peruvian Pima cotton, and 320 yards. But I got this on that second day. Like, I carried these with me to Flock to match, and I was hemming and hawing, and then with friends to support you, they're like, oh no, that will be beautiful. So this is going to be my Frost Lines cardigan, and I'm not sure when it will be, but this is the brunette colorway. So beautiful. And Lindsay from Lamb & Kid, who was on the cruise, was very nice. I talked to her briefly again, and she's just, it was a crazy weekend for her, obviously. And there were so many people in the store and so many people visiting, and Bainbridge is so beautiful to visit. We went to the Pokey for lunch on one of the days. It was so good, their Pokey. And then the other thing that I just sort of impulse buyed is somebody was wearing a tee that I really liked. I think it was one of the workers, and it ended up being in this cottage yarn. It is a 50% merino, 20% linen, 15% silk, 15% cotton. So I picked up 2 skeins to knit a t-shirt, and I can't remember which one. I did put these in, and I think I already designated them. What I typically do when I buy kind of for an intent is I take it, put it in my Ravelry stash, and then put it in my queue with what I intend to make with it. Because otherwise I'll forget. Don't we all? And then I just go into my queue for my next project. And 9 times out of 10, that's what it becomes. Sometimes it might change, or, you know, end up being, hey, maybe this isn't the yarn for this project, or vice versa. But yeah. So as I said, We had a great time staying in Brennan, which is really just an excuse to hang out. We had a house that was on the Hood Canal overlooking. It was so pretty. It was very warm while we were there. It was such beautiful weather, very, very hot, very sunny. But we did spend the day checking out yarn stores. Like I said, we were in Bainbridge. We did some other things. And then that Friday, we literally just hung around the house and knit all day and enjoyed each other and knitting and things like that. And then on Saturday, we took our time, and then we drove into Seattle. We stayed in downtown Seattle, a few blocks from the convention center, walked over, and we ended up going to Flock a few hours on Saturday and a few hours on Sunday. And yeah, it was great to see all the vendors. It was great to see all the things. It's a great yarn show. If it works for you, I highly recommend it. For me, the size of it is very reminiscent of Stitches West, which is something that I used to go to regularly. So it's good that they have one of that size. Seattle's a great city to visit. It's pretty easy in and out. I will say, when I was flying out on Monday morning, I woke up to a text that my Alaska flight had been canceled, but was able to zig and zag and get on a different flight into a different airport, but that I could still get home from. So it ended up not being that big of a deal, just a few more hours added to my day. The other thing I want to show you is my friend Liz brought presents, and she made a bag. Look at this beautiful project bag she made me. I love this fabric. Look at that lion. See that? So yeah, she sews occasionally, and she had made these bags for us a while. So we all got project bags, which was fun. And then I love the fabric on the inside. So I wanted to show and give a special shout out to her because it was very, very sweet, and I'm going to love using this project bag. So I think that was all for kind of Flock. And that is all of my stash enhancement. The other big thing that happened moving into gossip and things in my life is my nieces came to visit, my 16-year-old and my 6-year-old niece. They were with me for a little over a week. We went to Legoland, which was it was fun. And hi, Abby. Abby apparently watches my podcast, which I did not realize. Abby's my 6-year-old niece. She came out and wanted to learn to knit. And unfortunately, I didn't take any video or anything, which I should have. But we basically made a little scarf for her stuffy that she had brought with her. And so she helped knit on that, and then we fringed it with some other colors, and I put a button on it, and it's just a little neckerchief for her stuffy. So she helped to knit that, so she was very happy doing that. So we spent some time doing that. We went to Legoland. We did some the other big thing we did was, which I didn't even know we had in LA until you're looking for it, is we went to a slime museum where it was all about slime. And yeah, I don't understand the fascination of kids with slime, but it was a fun few hours. And we did shopping and hanging out and, fun stuff. So it was good to have them visit. As I said, it was good. Abby wants to learn to knit. Maybe next time we'll learn to knit. I'll have a kit for her and be ready to learn to knit more. But it was a good start, and she had a good time. And yeah. And other than that, summer, as I said, is busy. We have our season tickets to the Hollywood Bowl, where we go roughly every 2 weeks for the LA Philharmonic. It's a beautiful night out. We're actually going this coming week. It is the leader of the LA Philharmonic for the last quite a few years. I think it's been a while. It's been Dudamel, who is an amazing conductor. But he's leaving for New York, and so this is his last shows at the Hollywood Bowl. So that will be exciting this week. Also, Pantages, we saw Beauty and the Beast this past week, actually on Wednesday. Beauty and the Beast is turning 30 years old, the Broadway show. It is definitely based on the original Disney movie. And I don't know if it aged very well for me. I have a lot of fond memories of Beauty and the Beast, the animated. That came out when I was in high school, and I loved it. I mean, that was, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. And I did really love the Broadway musical music. I used to listen to the soundtrack a lot. I'd never seen it I'd never seen the show itself. And this tour, although as again, the music is still great. There were just some choices that I disagreed with. I did not think they had tenors for both Gaston and for the Beast, when I really think they should have been more baritones, much deeper voices. I think that took away from the music a little bit. Their bell was very cool, but then also they used a lot of animation and digital projection for the screen and had much less stage, which just sort of, I don't know, threw it out for me. So, but it's touring right now. It's the 30th anniversary. It was still enjoyable. It was so fun to see so many people who still love Beauty and the Beast. There were so many women dressed up and girls dressed up in like full bell kind of gear. And it was a full house. We went on a Wednesday night because our season tickets are Wednesday or Thursday, and it was full. So that was fun. And then I've been knitting, as I said, a lot. I've been checking out, like most knitters, I watched The Sheep Detective on, on Amazon Prime, and that was very cute. It was very cute. I highly recommend you watch it. Talking sheep is kind of interesting, but it's like murder mystery, slapstick, and the voices are great, so it was enjoyable. We're also watching a few shows here and there. I'm watching Widow's Bay right now. I'm halfway through it on Apple TV. It had been highly recommended to me by friends as this kind of comedic horror, kind of scary show. And I also am catching up on some shows that I've had on my list for a while. I just watched Agatha All Along, which is a Marvel based one. And it's on Disney Plus, and I like it. I mean, it's all witches, so I love anything to do with witches. So we blitzed through that, or I blitzed through that. I only watched it by myself. And then the other thing that both my boyfriend and I watched together recently was Department Q, which is a Scottish show on Netflix, and it has the most curmudgeonly main detective you've ever seen in this very random. He's just an unlikable person, but he's not an unlikable person. He's just very forthright and says the things and doesn't put up with bull. And yeah, it was really good. They're doing a second season. It's based on a book series, I guess. So we watched that. So if you're looking for something, books, I've been reading. So since our last podcast, which was mid-June, I have finished 31 books. And that brings my total up so far for 2026 to 104. So might be making roughly the 150 I want to make. I should be on par for that. A lot of romances and other kind of non-thinking books that I like to read. And then the books I'm going to highlight today of those. Let me pause 1 second. Sorry, I just wanted to pull the books up that I'm going to recommend. The first one is The Haunting of Payne's Hollow by Kelly Armstrong. Now, Kelly Armstrong is an author I read for a bunch of other series, but she does really good supernatural, cerebral kind of gothic or horror ones. And so this one is very interesting. So the protagonist, Samantha, she has an estranged family, her mother, and she's been estranged from her grandfather for a while because her father killed himself under circumstances after being accused of things. And her and her grandfather accused of things that she saw, basically. And so her grandfather was like, no, you're wrong, and estranged them. And her grandfather dies and leaves her the kind of family estate, which is lakefront property where the family cottage is, which she can get on the behest or the stipulation that she resides there for a month. And she needs the money. Her mother has early stages dementia, things like that. She needs to get this property so that she can then sell it and support her mom. So she does, and then all of these things start happening, and so she starts questioning her recollection of what happened way back when what she thought she saw versus what she saw. It's very very slow burn, very kind of spooky, scary, and in the end it's really good. So I if you like that kind of gothic, kind of supernatural kind of horror, but well written, I highly recommend The Haunting of Payne's Hollow by Kelly Armstrong. I don't even know when did it come out. I guess it's one of her newer ones. It came out 2025. The second book I'm going to recommend is by an author that I'd never heard of, and it was kind of this, it was very Kurt Vonnegut-ish to me, and it's The Road to Tender Hearts by Annie Hartnett. Now, apparently this is a national bestseller. I don't always read national bestsellers. I don't have, sometimes because my list of books to read is, I don't know, I think I have 150 books on it. Series I read, continue, series I start, and then want to read the whole series. So I add things. So things get added to my list, and I don't remember why I added them, where I heard about them. I hear about them from other podcasters. I hear about them from friends. I get Entertainment Weekly, and I will see the latest books, and something sparks something, and I add it. So I have no idea why I added this particular book, but it was really funny. Basically, it is a 63-year-old former lottery winner who is basically a bit of a hoarder and hermit, still best friends with his wife and his new husband, and not estranged from his kids, but not having a good, suddenly becomes the guardian of his estranged brother's grandchildren, and then takes them, but then goes on a road trip to try to reignite his love with the love of his life from way back when, and he goes on this crazy road trip. One of the grandkids thinks that she is the child of a actor, and so she wants to find this actor, get her dad, and go that way. It is just these crazy set of circumstances, these crazy things, these crazy characters, and in the end, it's so heartwarming. It's the crazy things that you can do, the crazy way that you go about life, just the thought processes of different people. It was just really funny, and I'm definitely going to read more from this author. So The Road to Tender Hearts by Annie Hartnett. It's a novel. If you're a fan of the kind of the Kurt Vonnegut kind of slapsticky comedy and going through road trips and, smart children, very smart children in this, then I recommend reading it. The last one I'm going to recommend is one of the series I'm reading, and I don't know if I've talked about it. And I think these books were originally released in the late 80s, early 90s, and it is the Elizabeth Peters, the Amelia Peabody series. And it takes place in the late 1800s, with Amelia Peabody being the main protagonist, and a lot of them take place in Egypt and things like that. So basically, she's on a trip, she's visiting, she meets an Egyptologist, but these are murder mysteries. So she gets into this murder mystery, and she's a strong-willed woman, ends up, like the first book, she meets a man that she ends up marrying, and then the subsequent books, she has a very, very unique son, and so they're still traveling in Egypt. This last one I read, which I think was the fifth in the series, what took place in London, which obviously they're British originally, and that thing. So each one has a murder mystery, but what I really enjoy is I listen to the audiobooks, and the audiobooks are narrated that I listen to by Barbara Rosenblatt. And I only say that because I have gone into my Libby and I see that there is another audiobook version that's read by a different actress. So they must have re-released these later on, because I said these are old. But the ones I enjoy are Barbara Rosenblatt, and so those are the ones I've been seeking out for my audiobooks. But it's just fun. I mean, you guys know I love a murder mystery series, and so I really enjoy this strong woman protagonist, and the interactions that they do between her and her husband, and then her son, and it's really good. So if you're looking for an enjoyable murder mystery kind of thing, if you like the Egypt, if you like the late 1800s, if you like kind of the Egyptology and the mummies and things like that, then yeah, I recommend the Amelia Peabody series. I think there's how many are there in the series? I'm up to 5, and I think, what is the last one? I'm just on my book. Let's see. There's 3 pages of it. So the last book is The Painted Queen, and it is the 20th. There's 20 books in the series, and the last one was from 2017. So yeah, been writing for a while, and the series goes on and on. I do know later on, I think there's different stories. I think it also follows the sun and things like that. So just enjoying it though. So I thought I would throw it out there as my recommendation for this podcast. So those are the 3 books. I will link them below as well. Last thing I want to recommend is podcast. So on the Grocery Girls cruise, I got to have dinner with a fellow podcaster, and I just wanted to give a shout out to her and her podcast, which is the Sunday Knitting Society. She's Chelsea out of Oklahoma. Very, very nice. Has a beautiful yarn wall and knits a lot. She was actually almost finished. She bought yarn and almost finished it, I think, on the cruise for things. Very nice, enjoyable. And then I ran into her at Flock. She was actually at Flock with her mother. We only crossed paths really briefly, but I thought I would give a shout out here. If you're looking for another podcast, I recommend Chelsea at Sunday Knitting Society. Okay. Going to be wrapping up. Upcoming plans. The next thing I'm doing is my college roommate annual trip with the girls. We are going to Savannah, Georgia this year. So we'll see how that goes. It still will be very warm. So that is in early September. And then I will be going to Rhinebeck this year with friends. And so that will be in October. Then I'm not sure. I turned 50 this year. I want to do something, but we'll see. I have to finalize those plans soon of what we're going to do or not do. I don't know. I want to do something, but the timing for the things I want to do doesn't really work out. So I don't know, but there might be something else thrown in there. And then I am on the books to attend for the first time with some friends, the Knit Up North retreat in Wisconsin in January. So I'm looking forward to that. I've heard good things about it, and I was able to join this year and attend, so that will be nice. And then the only other one I have is next May, my trip to Namibia with my brother. And then I'll be adding some other things, I'm sure, in there. Virginia Beach might be in there for February, and some other things are just not definitive right now. So yeah, that's what's happening. I hope everyone's having a good summer. As I said, I've been very busy. This is like the first time I'm home alone for a while. It's really nice. My cat is in the sunbeam right below me. And just knitting, getting through the summer. It's been very hot, very hot. Work is heating up, continuing, starting up a new project, probably the end of this month. Working through my other projects, trying to get the actual facility started, having lots of challenges, just normal work startup stuff, but also gives me headaches. And yeah, you know, as I will say that all this time off, and I've been talking about it, like I have retirement on my brain. I can't retire. I'm retiring at 55, so I have 5 more years. Because I work for government, I will have a pension, etc., and I will be going as soon as I can, which is 55 for me. That's the earliest we're allowed to retire with full benefits, and I will be doing that. So I already feel like I'm on the downslope. I just have to get through the next few years. And I can obviously continue to take all of these travels that spark joy with me, especially with the knitting, still sparks joy with me. I was trying to think how long I've been knitting, and I think I've been knitting since 2003, so 23 years? Does that sound right? Yeah, somewhere around there. So continuing to enjoy, continuing to get better at my craft, at my trade. At my craft, not my trade. That would imply I make money. Anyways, I'm going to go get all this cleaned up, put all my yarn away, and go sit and probably watch another episode of Widow's Bay because it is super hot outside, and knit. So you can find me as 1031 on Ravelry and Instagram, though I haven't posted on Instagram in forever. I keep saying I'm going to. I probably won't. We'll see. But that's a wrap from Hollywood, where fiber meets, I can't even remember my tagline. That's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meets fiber and dreams are knit. Thank you everyone for joining me for another episode. I hope everyone is having a great August, and I'll see you in a few months probably. Bye.